the Start Graphing. Nope, not student.desmos. Just type in Desmos, DESMOS.com. And it'll say Start Graphing, and you're going to say Start Graphing. So yours should look, if I am looking at yours, a lot like mine at this point, right? And what I was talking about in that second screen down in your notes, it says you can save your graphs if you log in Google. So if we do a bunch of graphs, or if you're ever working on these, okay, this is where you would log in. Over here, this is going to be, that changes the color of our line. This is where we are going to be typing our equations, okay? We're going to click this down here, gives you this screen, right? It gives you where you can type things in. So just click that so you can see on yours, right? So if you go on yours, let's see, I gotta move mine down just a little. But other times, can you not be in? Okay, so you're gonna just push your desk over next to hers. So other times, if you can't, you might want to just use your keyboard in front of you. So you're going to have that option to use either one of those keyboards, okay? The other thing that was in our notes that it talked about is these are our quadrants, right? So quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So today you're going to be asked some questions like, what quadrants does the line go through? Or what kind of a slope is it when it goes through quadrants 1 and 3? What kind of a slope is it when it goes through quadrants 2 and 4? So they're going to ask you about the quadrants. So this is where those quadrants are located, okay? So the keyboard, you can use it, but you can actually use the one that's under yours also. What's nice about this is you can have your equals. We can put in absolute value. We can put parentheses in and do other things by clicking on that. So we'll kind of be looking at that today. So today we are going to use this calculator, and you should have your notes open right next to it, if you would. And we are going to be looking at the slope of the line, how that relates to unit rate, how are proportional, and today you will get your quizzes back also. So if you would turn to page 26 in your notes, top of that next page. And this is why those of you, if you were gone yesterday, I still wanted you with us to do this. So it says, using your graphing calculator to graph each proportional relationship. Oh, if they're proportional, what do we know it goes through? Turn to page 26. You're not typing anything in yet. If it's proportional, it has to go through 0, 0, and it has to be a straight line, right? 0, 0 through a straight line. So if I look at these three equations, should they all go through 0, 0? Do we think? Sure. We think so. And it says, does each line pass through the origin? The origin is 0, 0, right? Okay, and it says, what is our unit rate? In the first one, when we write equations, right? Remember, if you please write right above this, I would like you to write down dependent, right? That's our y. So put dependent equals what? What did we always say? The dependent equals what? Unit rate. Can you move over to work with him? Can you put your computer up on your desk because he's going to need to look at that too. So dependent equals our unit rate, right, times our independent variable. So can you tell me the unit rate right away in all three of them? Please write down the unit rate in all three of those before we proceed. Check with your shoulder partner if you need to, okay? But I want to see this written down. We're not doing anything on your calculator yet. So I have 2. The next one I have, Levi, is 0.5. And the last one I have, Sam, is 0.06. Okay? So what we are going to do is it's going to be asking you to compare them. And it says circle the correct word. This graph is steeper or flatter than y equals 1x. So right now you're going to be on your graphing calculator. Right? So please go to that graphing calculator. And you are going to type in the equation y equals x. Actually, before you do that, I want you to erase that y equals x and just put y equals 1. What's the slope of this line? What's the slope of this line? 0, right? That's our horizontal. Remember the face? Horizontal. Because there is no x here, right? It'd be 0 times x. But if we put x now, right? What's the slope of this line? Y equals x. What's our slope? 1. So we're going to go to the second equation. So you just click down on number 2. And we're going to put in y equals, what did it tell us to put in? 2x, right? So notice when I just have the equal and I kind of mistyping that, you got to make sure you have the y equals. You got to have, some of you didn't have equations when you took the test the other day for me. You just put like 2x. So that's our blue line. So this tells us the color. So can you answer the question in our notes now? The question said, sketch it. Does it go through 0, 0? Yes. Yes. So sketch this line, 2x. How do we sketch it? Up 2 and over 1. Up 2 and over 1. Mr. Khalid, do you want to do me a favor and get rulers for everyone? Do they have those? And we were comparing it, right, to the y equals x. Well, how did it compare? Steeper or flatter? The blue line and the red line. Steeper. So we want to answer that this was steeper. Okay? We're now going to put in this equation. So we're going to go back. And I want to show you that if you click over here on this, when I click, notice the line disappears. So the equation is still there, but the line is gone. I click on it again, and it brings back the blue line. Now, sometimes it's nice to leave those equations, so we're going to leave this one up there, but we don't want it graphed. And you're going to go to equation 3. What was equation 3, Abby? Y equals 0.5. Look what happens if I just put 0.5, right? It's a horizontal line. There's no slope. It's a 0 slope. But when I add that x, it now makes it, what would we say to answer our question? Okay, so everyone needs to go back and graph the first one. So on your notes, I'm happy that you get to play with this some, but some of you didn't fill this in your notes, and I need you to do that. We're now going to do this one. Did it go through 0, 0? Yes. Steeper or flatter? Flatter. When you think of this equation, 0.5 is the same as what fraction? 1/2. Keeping in mind that this number is our rise and this is our run. So if I was asking you to graph it, you said it went through 0, 0 and up 1 and over 2, different than up 2, right? Up 1 and over 2. Use your straight edge and make it nice, straight line on your paper. Okay? Make that a nice straight line. You're on the wrong page. You got to go back. Okay? I need you to fill it in your notes as you're doing this. And now I want you guys to do that last one on your computer. We're going to keep coming around and checking. So again, we don't want to show, or maybe you want to leave that 0.5 up so that when you put the last one in, y equals 0.06. Like, look how when I put 0.06, it's like almost on top of 0, right? And now I add the x to it. So answer those questions in your notes. We're going to just walk around and see that you have this answer. They said all of them would be proportional. Proportional means they all go through 0, 0. Okay? Mr. Cleve, how are they doing? Everyone got it? Okay. So we are now looking at that next part down. What are we comparing it to this time? Negative 1x. So on your graph, what we want to do is we want to go back and go back to your first equation, right? And what can we put in front of the 1? Put a negative. And different than graphing calculators where you always have to hit that plus minus button, this one you can just put it in with the negative. It's just the same as a minus. Okay, so we have that equation. Let's go back and answer the questions first. What's our unit rate? Fill all three of those in. You should be able to do that, right? Fill all three of those in right now. Next thing we are going to be taking a look at is we are going to be looking at filling in. Does it go through the 0, 0? So, if I was looking at my answers, Riley, what's the first slope?
-2.
-2. Caitlin, what's our next slope?
-4.
-4. And our last slope, Dan, was? -0.200. Do they all go through the origin? Yes, and again, we're comparing proportional, so yes, do they all go through the origin? So now as we do those, we were looking at -2x, right? So we add in that negative. I got to turn mine on again, right? So you just got to make sure it's on. Was it steeper, the blue line, or flatter than the red line? The blue one is steeper, right? It'd be harder to walk, like you'd be going faster going down that hill than you would the red line, right? So you're still going down, but it would be like if you were just sitting on your skateboard or something, you go much faster, right? So now let's look at the next one. What did they tell us to put in for this one? They told us to put in -4. -4. Oops, I have -0.4. I don't want that. I want -4. So you should be able to circle which one and then draw it, right? So if I'm drawing these, we want to have accuracy again. So if I go to the first one at -2, that means I'm going a slope of -2 over 1, up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1. Remember our face, the line had to go down. Use your straight edge and connect these, but I want those nice dots, okay? So Mr. Cleve's going to kind of be walking around and checking that you're doing it accurately. As I do that next equation, -4, that means -4 over 1. That's really steep. I'm going to go up 4 and back 1, down 4, and then what's going to happen with that last one? It's going to be what? Way flat, right? Because it's almost close to 0. So put it in your equation on your graphing calculator and check that, okay? Almost on top of 0, right? It's almost horizontal. But you still want to draw it a little above on this side and a little below on this side, okay? It's super flat when we are looking at that. So, again, when I'm looking at that last one, you know, something like that, okay? If I was looking at those. They all had 0, 0, right? They all had the origin. So, origin 0, 0. It says if the graph is in quadrant 1 and 3, the m value is what kind of a number? It was positive. So now look down towards the bottom half that went through 2 and 4. Now, I want you to take a look at your notes, and if you would, going around this picture, let's just number our quadrants. This is 1, right? This is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. And it's the same on all of these. Same here. This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you didn't number those, make sure you do that. So now as we are answering these questions, and it says, if it's in 2 and 4, what's our m value? So you got to move your computer, so you've got to see that first page of your notes. Okay? Yep, so you don't really need your computers for the rest of the lesson today. You can shut those. So what do we notice in 2 and 4? They should be what? Should be negative. Next it says if m is positive, predict as m gets further from 0. What happens to our line? As m gets to be a bigger number, farther from 0. 2, 4, 6. What happens to our line? It's going to get, and we would say want to go steeper, right? The line gets steeper. If m is negative and it gets farther from 0, -2, -4, -5, what happens to it? It still gets steeper. It's just going downhill instead of going uphill, right? So that both of these get steeper. It says, what does the line look like if m is 0? Slope is 0, what kind of line? Very special. Horizontal. And you can go back and check that on that Desmos calculator, right? That's when we put in 0. And if you look at that one, and when we were talking about this one, and if I put this right at 0, right? If m equals 0, where's that line? It's right on top of the x-axis, right? So when it's 0, it was right on top of the x-axis as you look at that. All right, so the last part, to summarize the value of m, what does it do? And this is what I would like for you to write down. The m affects the unit rate. The closer that number is to 0, the flatter our line will be. And the farther the number is from 0, the steeper the line is. And I'll give you a minute to write that down before we go to the bottom half. So make sure you're getting all of writing this. And again, this will be on the daily planner if you need to take a look at the notes, okay? M gets steeper as it moves farther from 0, closer to 0, a flatter line. So now we're on the top, looking at that last page of notes of yours where it says problem 3. Using your knowledge of proportional relationships, write an equation for a line that fits the characteristics. We need it going through 1 and 3, which means our slope has to be what? The number has to be positive. And I want it steeper than this one. So I want you to write down at least 2 equations for me, right? I want you to give me 2 equations if I was looking at your paper. I want you to come up with 2 of them that you think would make this true, okay? Part B, a straight line that goes through 2 and 4, and I want it flatter than 0.3. So the first one you're going steeper, this one is flatter. Part C says, I want a straight line that's going to be between 3.1 and 0.5. So if you have your computers and you still have the Desmos, could you put this in right now and try some of these? Let's do that. I want you to go on your computer and I want you to plug these in and see if you can get right an equation for the last one. What are we looking at for our equation? Y equals. Can you tell me the rise over the run for this one? Can you tell me from this point, so I need everyone's attention up here, not on your calculators, not on your computers. I need your attention up here. I know this goes through 0, 0, so I just need to have my unit rate. What is my unit rate? What is my M for this one? Rise over run. Should be negative rise. How much did you go down?
Oh,
-2, and I would take -2 over 1x, or I would take y equals -2x, okay? But -1/2 I have to mark wrong. That makes sense to everyone? It is negative, it goes down, okay? So your homework, it's really one sheet, but a lot of you, I think, have to finish the homework from yesterday, 7. So you are doing this one, D8. You don't really need your calculator or the computer for any of it. And right now, I just want to look at your